last week. It's amazing. It's been a long week, but had a chance to go see Tower of Power play at in Scottsdale and reconnected with a dear friend, Jerry Cortez. And in the process of us doing an interview, he mentioned my next guest, a guy who was not on my radar, but like many, there are many cats that are not on my radar. And as the more that I dug deep and started to explore this cat, I realized that he really is part of the beautiful, sort of diorama that is modern American music. And he's been all around this world. He's worked with a lot of seminal cats, especially from the New Orleans, Louisiana region, which is could be argued definitely the birthplace of jazz, among other things. And in full disclosure, there's a guy that I wanted to connect him with because they have the same initials, and I have a funny feeling they're basically the same kind of beautiful human being, my dear friend John Lee Shannon. But I get a chance today to speak to a beautiful musician, John Lee Sanders. Welcome to the Jake Feinberg Show.
Thank you, Jake. Oh, it's been a pleasure, man. I've heard about you for a while, and finally got to do this. Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you got. I hope you heard good things about me. That's all.
Yeah. Of course, I have. Yeah.
Did you never came cross paths with a singer songwriter named Bobby Bridger? Did you?
I played a couple of gigs with him in Monroe, Louisiana.
Yeah, because I wanted to ask you about that. The reason I bring that up is because your childhood and his were different, but same region of the country.
Yeah,
and I wanted you to talk a little bit about, I don't know if you thought that the regional sounds of that area um, contributed to your own ability to arrange and find your own voice on your instrument.
Well, I moved to Jackson, Mississippi, from a small town in southern Illinois called Crossville, and it was a sundown town. And I moved to Jackson. My father was a State Farm, one of the big wigs in State Farm Insurance, and
Right.
and in the 1950s, I was like around 1953, and so that was how I got started playing music. My two older brothers were both musicians. They were my older brother Chip was a piano player, and my brother Steve became a good guitar player, very very good guitar player. He went in the news business, but yeah.
Yeah, no,
So
that's another cat. I feel like I've seen him on WGN. Is that where he was?
right,
Yeah.
Steve Sanders. He's won like 7 Emmy Awards.
I
He's
know, dude. I
retired.
know that cat, even though I never lived in Chicago. But no, talk a little bit about, like, I remember interviewing Mac Rebenak and him talking about his. I know you didn't. I know you weren't born in Louisiana, in that part of the country, but I just wanted you to talk to the world about the regional sound of that area because it was before full interconnection, and it really did have its own regional sound. What was it to you?
Well, to me, I mean, we could pick up New Orleans stations on the radio, and Memphis, Chicago, and Nashville. When the they would be like 50,000 watts or 100,000 watts. So you could pick up all of these regional stations and all that. But the first time I went to New Orleans, my father took me, and it was Preservation Hall, and
Sure.
that was the only club that kids could get into. It was and there was a woman named black woman named Sweet Emma Barrett. I don't know if you heard of her.
No.
You can find her on YouTube, and she was just great. I mean,
Hmm.
so that was my first like concert experience. It was in a club, but still, just amazing, And she played with everybody. She was kind of a New Orleans legend. But yeah, the regional sound. I mean, there was, of course, the blues, and but it was very disconnected with the white world and the blacks. I mean,
Hmm.
it was Jim Crow South.
I
In
know.
the
No, this is so
1950s.
the gumbo. I mean,
Yeah.
Dixie, you were seeing trad music at Preservation Hall, I assume.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
more like,
It was a little more blues than that. You know.
yeah, interesting.
But yeah. It was traditional jazz.
So
Dixieland.
the, but I mean, you had to seek out the black music if you had the courage to do that. Is that right? I mean, it
I
was, yeah.
yeah. I did. I was. Um, my the guy who discovered me was when I was 13. I was playing with my brother's band, and there was a guy. We moved to Birmingham in 1960, and when all the civil rights protests and everything was going on,
Wow.
and um, the and there was a DJ that came down from Memphis, um, and he discovered me on and did a lot of promotion on me, and it was on the main top 40 station, but he could play. He kind of had the leeway to play a lot of different stuff from New Orleans and everything, not just the regular top
What was
40.
it? Do you remember his name?
His name was Dave Roddy. His radio name was Dave Roddy. I can't remember his regular name, but
And he had enough street cred that he could play stuff that would bleed through from other cities in the country.
yeah, I mean he could play Irma Thomas and
Yeah.
and Ernie Cato and all these New Orleans cats, and uh, he right around the time that I was singing with my brother's band, he discovered uh, Otis Redding, and Otis Redding was playing. He was playing a high school dance, and he was over from Macon, I think Macon, yeah,
Right.
and and Dave Roddy said, my God, this guy's incredible. They wouldn't let him quit. I mean, he played till 2 in the morning, and then next day he called the people from Stax, and the rest is history. So yeah, but yeah, that was a regional sound. There were black stations and all over the South, and so I would kind of cruise the dial, and
Yeah. No, you know what the reason
just
I brought up Bridger was because something magical happened to him. He was playing some sort of talent show on TV down, I forget what town it was in New Orleans, but Fred Carter Jr. discovered him through that. It was some
okay.
local kids show, performance show. Would you say that, I mean, everything was so unorthodox, how you got discovered? I mean, so much of it was intestinal fortitude. Um, was there a seminal moment that put you on a path to being a professional musician?
Yeah. My first time I went on stage, I think I was 13 years old before my voice changed, and
Huh.
and the first song I sang was Ray Charles' "I Got a Woman," and
Huh.
and the reaction was just great. I had never, I just it was the adrenaline rush,
Right.
and I was really small. I mean, I'm only 5'4", and but I had to stand on a chair, and I was so small, and the DJ he would advertise me on the radio. He says Birmingham's answer to Little Stevie Wonder. Well, I couldn't play harmonica, but
Yeah.
anyway, before my voice changed,
Wow.
that kind of I was studying classical piano since age 6, and but my brother was teaching me the Ray Charles licks, and uh, Dr. John went around, but Ray Charles and Little Richard and all these kinds of things. So I was coming up, and they gave me an audition, and that started me on my path.
What was
So
it was what was an R&B band? What was the audition for?
it was well, it was a rock and roll band. I mean, they played a lot of R&B stuff. Um,
They were playing
my,
like Little Richard stuff and Elvis and that kind of
Little
thing.
Richard and Ray Charles, and some Beatles, some Rolling Stones, and all that, and but more kind of yeah, it was called East Coast beach music. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
East Coast what?
Well, yeah, they kind of played a lot of regional hits and everything. Mostly a cover band. They
No,
did
but I
some
mean no, but
original.
I mean like, it was called East Coast beach music.
Yeah, that's kind of what.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
and you know the kind of like what they play. It was they played in like Dirty Dancing and stuff like that.
Hmm.
It was I don't know where it started, but yeah. So I would come out and do about half an hour, and then I would they would do the rest of the show. But yeah, that's how I got started.
Wow,
And
you would do a solo opener?
no, I was playing, I was singing with the band. I wasn't, you know, I wasn't.
But so the it was um you and how many? Well, how big was the ensemble?
That was yeah, there was a band that was my brother on piano and keyboards kind of sucked at this time unless you were, you
Yeah.
know, but yeah, he'd be playing like a World Series electric piano and a Farfisa organ, and there was lead guitar, rhythm guitar, drums. I wanted to be a drummer at one time, and my parents gave me a drum set like Ringo Starr, and you know, I realized I couldn't get both hands and both feet, um, you know, in sync.
Yeah, the
So
syncopation, right.
yeah. So you know, I learned to play rhythm guitar, and a couple of years later, I learned to play bass. So I kind of started out as a bass player because you know the keyboards weren't up to snuff. So yeah, and once they did, you know, well, this is you know it's another story, but yeah,
No,
but
this is so when you guys were on some kind of uh did you actually get a chance at some point to play on the Chitlin circuit?
this yeah, maybe it became later.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I mean, I'm talking the Chitlin circuit more traditionally more of that black circuit.
yeah, I did. I um, I'm cutting, you know,
No, this is a jam. We're
uh,
jamming. We're jamming.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I I transferred to North Texas State in 1972,
That is
and
so ridiculous. Was Billy Harper there? Who was still there?
that was you know, I was going to school at a local university in Monroe, Louisiana,
Yeah.
and it was a good school, really good school. But my 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 saxophone teacher, uh, his father was teaching at North Texas State, and I heard an album, a lab band album that they
Yeah.
played.
Yeah.
They were playing in one of the band rooms and in Monroe, Louisiana, and just blew me away. My God, it was like you know, Lou Marini and uh,
Dude, Blue Lou and Dean Parks and
Dean Parks. Yeah,
David
They,
Hungate
yeah.
and just so many badass. I think Billy Harper was there.
I think he was. I think he was.
Yeah.
I forget all the names. I mean, and some of those guys left and went on.
But those
They
lab band
were,
records were the funkiest jazz records around. They were playing
oh,
everything. I know those
it,
lab band records, 69, 70, that range.
yeah. They were, and there was one. I think there were two, and my one of my best friends at the time in Monroe, it was a kick-ass trumpet player. He couldn't improvise, but he could read like fly shit, whatever.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, 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 yeah.
one of these kind of guys. And we were at the time best friends, and we said, well, we got to head over there. Just you know, so we got up at 4 in the morning and drove to Denton, Texas, you know, and to hear this band, and it just blew us away. I mean, it pinned us against the wall, and I mean, it just you know, and there was a band every hour. They started at like 10 in the morning till 10 at night, but the 1 o'clock jazz band was the best one. You know,
Right.
that
No, I
yeah.
thought the other guy, Tom Bones Malone, was there.
Tom Bones, well, yeah, he's on yeah.
I mean,
Uh
that guy, I mean, he could blow. So wait, how long a drive is that?
oh, it was about oh God. Well, that's why we got it at 5 in the morning because we want to hit
Right.
like the 1 o'clock band. Uh, you know, from Dallas, let's see, from Monroe to Dallas is about maybe mm, five, 5 or 6 hours, and
Right.
then north to Denton, yeah, it's a little further.
What was the was it essentially in Denton, I realize that's where the school was, but were there opportunities to were there clubs that fostered the ability to play smaller ensemble music in that town? Did you have an opportunity to do that when you went there?
There was about 3 or 4 clubs, and I started a band just like on weekends, and I I was I started playing saxophone in 1969,
Wow.
and that's a whole other story. But um, I I moved to Monroe, and I was getting bullied all the time, and get the small guy and all this,
Yeah.
and there was a jazz ensemble, a big band, and they played like a morning assembly, and then at night they were going to play the big band concert, and I was sitting in the back, and um and the saxophone section stood up, to do one of these 5-part harmony,
Yeah.
uh
Sure.
Stan Kenton, whatever, yeah, a solely thing, and and I had like like the religious experience, like John Belushi doing
Oh
backflips
man, no, you
in
you
the
you 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 were doing the holy roller kind of thing. It was out of
no,
box.
no, 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 no. But I could see it in my head.
Yeah.
It's like I, I saw myself playing a saxophone for like thousands of people, and it was like it was something I'm like beamed down to my in a vision,
Wow, it's a premonition of or some kind of
premonition or something, but it was real,
yeah.
and
Oh my God.
and I think I was 16 or 17, and it was their spring concert, and so I came home. My dad came home from early. He was like at this time he was a State Farm executive. He was one of the head guys,
Sure.
and I said, Daddy, I think I need to play a saxophone, and it was just I had this vision that I could do it. I was already studying classical piano and all these other things, and guitar and bass. And he said, "Okay, I'll make a deal with you. Um, you pass the audition, if you can pass the audition, and this was the spring. Um, next fall, next September, you got to join the marching band. That was the catch. So yeah, so so I got a teacher, and I went to band camp and all that, and I just practiced 4 hours a day, and that's
Were
how
you?
that.
No, that's beautiful. I mean, what were you? Um, would you say that you were channeling more of a? Did you lean more towards Stan Getz or John Coltrane or both?
Well, my uh, I didn't. We didn't have a jazz station
Really? Okay, so you were
in
listening to
Monroe.
like a lot of honking and a lot of R&B
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. I was listening to like Junior Walker and
yeah.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
who's
no, Dave
the guy that played?
Bartholomew or the
Yeah, yeah. With little who's the guy that played the Little Richard and all these other things.
Fats Domino, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and more. You know, I, my parents. The only jazz album they had was Stan Getz, Girl from Ipanema, and Getz
That's
Gilberto.
so
Yeah,
classic.
yeah,
That was the one that was bossa, right? That was
yeah, yeah,
bossa jazz.
yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't even like that wasn't there was no bebop in the Sanders house.
No, 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 no. I mean, I probably got some from New Orleans and everything, but it
Yeah.
was more R&B, and
It's just fascinating. So do you feel like one of the reasons you went to North Texas was to sort of get your harmony and arrangement chops together? What was the greatest thing that you took? John Lee, I mean, so many cats today, younger cats,
mhm.
they might pick up an instrument, but um, you know, I, if you're going to go to school and study music, I just don't think you can codify. the
No,
language of jazz. And so why did you, what was the thing that you most took out of the
well,
academy?
in 1970, I started at the university, and there was a few guys from New York, and they turned me on to all of these great, bebop things
Right,
and
right.
bebop albums, and you know, and yeah, they played me a lot of different things, and I started buying all these records, and just
Oh, that's fantastic. What were you,
started.
were you into like Dolphy and stuff, or was that too far out?
That was a bit too far out. I mean,
Yeah. You were
um,
Paul Desmond, that kind of stuff?
Paul Desmond, yeah, Take Five and all that,
Yeah,
and there
yeah.
was one guy. There was one of the first records that I transcribed. I think it was George Coleman, and it was Miles Davis.
Oh my
Uh,
God, dude. Yeah.
uh, and I took it down, and I still do. I work for a website called smoothjazz.com, all the smooth jazz players. And I do backing tracks. This is like now or a few years ago. But
Right.
I that's what some of my day jobs that I'll take down the solos or write down the solo and note for note.
You
But
transcribed the George Coleman solo on a
well,
Miles
no,
Davis?
that's what that was in 1970 or 71.
That
But
is so freak.
I love that. So it was, I think it was Seven Steps to Heaven,
Yeah,
and
that's
that
right.
I think,
That's
but
right.
I took down a lot of different solos. I mean, you had to put it on 16 on the turntable. Yeah. Anyway,
So,
yeah, that
I mean,
I'm skipping around here. Yeah,
no. This is the Jake Feinberg show.
yeah.
We're always
I
hopping around. I mean,
I see.
yeah.
Yeah.
You so explain. I just maybe you said it, but what was the major thing that you actually, even to this day, took from the academy? That was the most, because I just don't think that, here's the point. You could go to North Texas or even Berkeley. I remember
Yeah.
like someone telling me that like when Berkeley first started, and this is the first year you picked up the saxophone, which was like 69, it was like called the Schillinger House. Maybe it was started before that, but the point is that like guys like uh, Charlie Mariano would get off the road and like they were addicted to junk, but they'd clean up. They'd get off the
Yeah.
road, they clean up, and then maybe they learn a new instrument, and then they get back on the road because everybody was touring 250 dates a year. So
Really? Okay.
there was a lot of employment. So a lot of times today, kids go to the academy, they learn, they come out sounding like their professor, and there's no gigs.
Yeah.
So I know what was the intention for you to go to school?
Vietnam for
Oh, that's
one
right.
thing.
A lot of cat. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No, I really wanted to learn all kinds of stuff. I mean, I just wanted to play music, but my to stay out of the draft. This was 1970. And I was number 39 in the draft, and for they had a lottery system,
Sure.
and
The lower the number, the quicker the draft.
yeah. There was like a lottery, and they spin this wheel, and they pull a number out like a capsule, and they'd open it up. It's just and and uh and my birthday it was October 16th, so I was probably going to go if I didn't get a 2S deferment. Yeah.
Right. If you got into
So I,
school, you could avoid it. Yeah.
yeah, but you had to have a full-time academic load, which was really hard. I mean, I mean, I mean, it was just the music classes were intense, and
Were you somebody that did well in school to begin with, or was that a distraction from what just creating music?
I was not a great student. I
Yeah.
mean, for what I wanted to do, I was very good at.
No, I get it. No,
But yeah,
so having a full load
yeah,
was daunting though. It was
yeah.
a lot of work.
When I was in high school, algebra was my worst subject. So I hired a tutor and brought up migrated to an A, but it took a lot of work. But yeah, there was, so I had to take English, history, all the different academic
Sure.
courses. Um, when I went to North Texas, I did also. And I think my parents wanted me to settle down, get a teaching job or whatever, and I wanted to go on the road. And I still do.
I just real quick, did you ever record with that lab band?
No, I wish I didn't make it to the 1 o'clock band. I mean, it was
Yeah, I felt like where did you find your groove there? Because like you see those tracks where it's like, it's just so funny because, you know, like Dean Parks,
yeah.
who his birthday was yesterday, by the way.
Oh, okay.
And just such a beautiful cat, and like
Yeah.
and went out and did all types of played so many different parts for so many different types of records, and yet he was this jazz behemoth on alto sax. He loved playing alto sax.
I forgot he played alto sax.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
no, man,
Yeah.
and like that. So I interviewing him, and now interviewing John Lee Sanders. Like I've interviewed Blue Lou and Bones and Billy Harper. Like that, it was, and like they all talked about. Cats would come through and say, "Hey, when you wrap up, I'm going to go on the road, and so come join me." How did you? What was your first gig coming out of school?
Oh man, I was playing gigs on the weekends and around Monroe, and I was I was a really good bass player at one time, and so I and the saxophone players were playing circles around me. So because I was just learning, I was still practicing, and but I got a gig on bass in one of the lab bands. I think it was like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock band or whatever, and
Wow, wait,
and
you playing Fender bass or upright bass?
I was playing Fender bass,
Oh
and
my God,
I was
that's
studying with Lou Fisher,
yeah,
upright.
yeah.
He was one of those cats, with
Yeah, dude, I cannot wait. You and Lou Fisher, man.
he was great.
Oh my God. Go ahead, continue.
But you know, in 1965 or 66, I bought my brother's Fender Precision bass. It was a 1957, Precision. Now it's probably worth eight eight or eight
Oh yeah,
thousand bucks.
easy,
Yeah,
yeah.
but I paid $75 for it, and it was 1966 before I moved to Monroe. It was still in Birmingham, and I I started a cover band, and the bass player had to quit the band because he was flunking out of school. So and I asked my brother if I could buy his bass, and so I bought a bunch of books with Carol Kay and uh oh
Chuck
who's the
Rainey.
Chuck Rainey,
Yeah.
Yeah, and there were only two books that I could I could read bass clef because of piano. I studied piano from
Right.
age 6, and so there and I would just sit and listen to the Motown or what are the the tracks.
And
Yeah,
Jamerson too. James Jamerson.
James. I didn't know who Jameson was,
Right.
but
The company is those guys never even got credit on the back of those records.
no,
You,
I didn't
yeah.
know who he was. And,
Right.
now I've got James Jamerson. I think um, a friend of mine. He came down from a friend of mine from Spain, but yeah,
Yeah.
he's got I think the James Jamerson book. Yeah, but
So yeah,
yeah,
no, at the time, so you were studying like it. Would you were as a side? We'll get back to Carol K. But um what was it like? A lot of cats say that a lot of upright players um that play jazz say that they hate playing jazz on the electric bass. It requires a whole different muscle set. I know you were studying with Lou Fisher, and I know you weren't a stone jazzer. But what was the
yeah.
experience like playing electric jazz on electric bass? Some of those cats, like there's some albums from the early '70s, like Frank Strazzeri records where like Gene Chirico's playing electric bass, and it's like the funkiest jazz, and it's
Really?
still burning post bop. You know?
Yeah.
Did you experience that different? You know, playing upright and playing electric jazz specifically, and the different muscle sets.
I was uh in the beginning, that's why I studied upright, because I mean, I didn't even have one, but they you could rent one from the school for about $50 maybe, or $100. Um, and I had to drag it to school, but I was more of an electric player. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't really. I mean, my fingers, you know, you have to have some strong fingers, man. Just and but it was much easier for me to play electric.
Were you
Uh,
able to pull off some of like? Were you always sort of in that what we call funk soul pocket, or um did you like to play like the American Songbook on the electric bass?
I, I could do everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a very good ear, and it just
Yeah, that's amazing. So
um
did you so let's go back to this. You're shed you're in like 2 or 3 o'clock band uh playing electric bass, and who comes and but did you even graduate or did you go on the road?
I in 1974 I I quit school. I wanted to go on the road, and I joined a band called Buster Brown, and
Buster
these
Brown.
yeah, these guys were from
Oh man.
up in the Texas Panhandle, and they um there was a guy named Kelly McNulty. He played Hammond organ and piano, and but he played great guitar, and there was so I joined that band, um and we were started playing around Dallas, and man, there was a lot of work, except we kept getting fired because we sounded too black, and
This
it was
is
an all white.
fascinating. This is so classic. So you
Yeah,
were, and the audience was getting really uncomfortable.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there was a much better bass player. I started playing and keyboards and sax in this time, and there was another keyboard player named Kelly McNulty who sounded like Donny Hathaway and Stevie Wonder. I mean, he was
No
just
way.
yeah.
Really?
You have to find some recordings on him, and
Was he already an established like player when you connected with him? With those
no,
with
no,
both?
he was no, he wasn't famous. Um, he was no, and we
So you no, I'm curious because this is really interesting. Like, um, this was pre-disco. Were you playing
yeah.
like Van McCoy, Sigma Sound stuff out of Philly? Were you playing Gulf Coast blues? What were the sets
No,
like?
we were I mean, we were playing a lot of original music, and
Wow, wow,
Sly Stone,
yeah.
Stevie, Herbie Hancock, uh, yeah, it was funky stuff, and
Oh my God, were you playing like Les McCann stuff?
I think I did,
Yeah,
you know, I did a version of
compared to what or something?
compared to what
Yeah,
I did
yeah, yeah.
it. Um,
Oh, I bet
it,
you would kill that thing, man.
it was in my later repertoire.
Sure,
But yeah. I mean, that was my favorite album at the time. It was Les McCann and Eddie Harris and Montreux.
that's
Man,
right, dude.
love it.
Insane. Also, I got to believe you guys were doing some Jazz Crusaders or Crusaders music, man.
Yeah. We did. Yeah, man.
Buster
I,
Brown. I mean, that are they record? That's the funkiest. That must have been the funkiest band in Dallas.
we they I later left the band, and I joined a band called Uncle Rainbow, but Buster Brown. I mean, we kind of had a breakup. Long story,
Yeah,
but and we moved to California, the but the band continued, and they had a black bass player named Wide Track, and he was like Larry Graham. He was just amazing. I mean, you
right.
guys,
What was his name?
uh,
Wide Track.
Wide Track. his real name was Victor Hill. I don't think he's no longer with us, but he was just, my God, he
He
was,
was a monster player. So wait a minute,
yeah.
did you had a chance to see some of the I'm thinking like I'm not sure how often they came through Texas, but the seminal bands, Weather Report, Return to Forever, Mahavishnu Orchestra, or even Sly or Herbie. Did you get a chance to see any of those cats? Especially
I
that was the to me 74 was
yeah.
73 was one of the probably the greatest year in American recorded music. I
Oh,
don't
oh,
know.
it was incredible. I mean, even just the club, the level of
Oh my
club
God.
bands. I mean, they would, you know, I saw Mahavishnu with John McLaughlin,
Oh,
and
you got it when you saw them at like where like North Texas or not North Texas,
no,
but
no, no, they were playing at a at a at an old refurbished theater, just I think
sure.
like maybe a 2,000 seat theater.
What was that experience? Like that is, you see, you're on the back end of the beat, playing that greasy R&B, New Orleans funk soul,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I mean, I'm very good friends with Billy Cobb. I've interviewed Johnny a bunch. I love the Rick Laird, rest in peace, the bass player. What was that experience like? Some cats walked out of there, musicians, and like just take drummers. They'd look at Billy Cobb and say, can never play that way, but that's okay. I'm gonna play me." They didn't get
Yeah.
defeated, but it was inspiring. Were
Uh,
you? Can you talk about how your reaction to that music? Because I know you weren't spinning all those records all the time. It must have blown you out of the water.
I was playing all kinds of things. I mean, just
Wow,
but
wow.
yeah, that blew me away. It was like a religious experience. I mean,
Right,
to
right.
me, and um,
That's awesome. That is
they,
freaking awesome.
one of I remember one of the it was a club called Faces, and they were about within 5 or 10 minute drive. You could, I mean, there was music all over the place in Dallas. I mean, there was you know black clubs, white clubs, whatever, and jazz clubs. I mean, you walk like 5 minutes down the street, and there was a club called the Recovery Room, and and there was, I think there was, and Red Garland was in the house band. Red,
No way.
yeah. I mean,
No way, dude.
I mean, we were
Dude,
working
that
a
is the
lot.
greatest. I've heard some amazing stories in 2023.
Yeah,
That might be the best one.
yeah,
So he was off the circuit. He was off the circuit at that point. He was in the house band in Dallas.
yeah. They were. I mean, we were working quite a bit, and we would get off, and there was another club um, on the other block called Mother Blues, and and Buster Brown had played every Sunday and Monday nights,
Yeah.
and then they would bring in like more well-known acts like blues like Lightning Hopkins, and then as they would bring in like Horace Silver
Oh my
and
God.
who else? I can't remember all the
Maybe
and
some of the like Groove Holmes or Jim McGriff, those kind of cats, or is that
I,
too?
I don't remember seeing him there, but
Yeah.
yeah. But we would play every Sunday and Monday night, and um, when Freddie King, he would come off the road,
Wow.
and he would be hanging out in our dressing room, whatever, and Freddie, yeah, we got to become friends with him. Freddie was just awesome.
Oh my God. Anyway, he
Yeah.
would sit in with you guys and play.
So every once in a while he would come in and play,
This
and
is
then
wait. So you after your gig, you go down and hang and have a drink with and watch Red Garland play.
yeah,
This
yeah,
is
yeah.
so
I mean,
insane.
I didn't, I didn't see it, but they were, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and when Eric Clapton would come to town, he would just hang out um, at this club called Mother Blues, and
Wow.
then
So we're talking early. I mean, both of those guys had barely gotten their careers off the ground at that point. They were still
oh,
pretty
oh
young.
yeah, there was a drummer. He's no longer with us. He got killed in a car accident. But his name was Eric Stewart. He was from Houston, and we were roommates, and then we both joined Buster Brown, and I was living in a house like 5 minutes away from the club, and the club owner called up and says, let me get a hold of your drummer, and he said, well, I think he lives about 10 minutes away, and he don't have a phone, so but I can go get him. And said, what you need? And he said, well, I've got Dizzy Gillespie coming in for the next 2 nights, and it's sold out, and his drummer is sick with the flu.
Oh my God.
And I drove up to Eric's house, and he said, the club owner's name was Bill Simonson. I still remember.
Wait, I'm sorry. This was in Dallas.
In Dallas.
Okay. This drummer was from Houston, though. He was living in Dallas. He drove to his house. Yeah.
There was an amazing music scene, and Dallas was the distribution center for all the records that went out all over the country.
Right. That's right. Ronnie Tutt told me that.
Yeah.
Did you know Ron Tutt, or was Ron Tutt already gone by the time you got there?
Who was it?
We thought Ron Tutt. It was Elvis.
Ronnie Tutt.
Yeah, Ronnie Tutt.
Played with Elvis. I think he had been gone.
So you drove up to his. I want you to finish the story. You drove up to his house and were like, "Yeah, Dizzy, you got to play with Dizzy the next 2 nights."
Yeah, I said, Eric's his name, Eric Stewart, and said, man, you got to call Bill Simonson from Mother Blues. He wants you to play with Dizzy Gillespie, and he said, man, there's no way I'm not good enough to play with him and all this. Oh, come on, you'll be able to tell your grandchildren who you play with Dizzy.
That's right. That's right.
And
that's awesome.
So we got in and got up on the stage, and he introduced the band and everything, and he counted off salt peanuts, and it was like 220 beats a minute. It was just boom, boom, boom. And Eric was sweating bullets, and he was just and he did and there was a drummer. I mean, all the drummers in North Texas were there. All the jazz guys, I mean, most of the jazz guys were there, and I mean, Denton, I think, was an hour away, and
oh wow, really?
So,
yeah,
and there was anyway, he went out. Eric went out on the first break and saw a drummer named Brad Billhorn, who was the drummer with the 1 O'Clock Jazz Band. And I said, hey man, can you take over for me? I mean, I think it was out of his, out of his league. I mean, he probably could have cut it, but
whatever. He gave it a shot.
Yeah, but he did. I mean, we were more of a like a funk. More of a funk band, I think,
Absolutely.
Great
no,
funk.
I get it. I mean, that's the thing. What is the fine line? I mean, there's just some element of rhythm in bebop that, and it's, I guess, the use of the ride cymbal, and it would be different in some ways, but were you sort of blacklisted in Dallas because you sounded too black, or is that why you eventually moved?
No, there was a lot of clubs. We played. There was a black club that we played at. We didn't make very much money. And it was called the Red Noodle.
And was it like a chicken and ribs joint kind of thing?
I don't remember.
More of a night. Yeah.
I mean, it was like one of those, like the Red Velvet clubs with all the the nice plush red velvet seats.
I love that stuff. Yeah.
And we they didn't know what to think of it. We were a great band, and we
are there any tapes of this band?
Yeah, you could find them. I think you can find one on SoundCloud, and maybe
no, I'm talking about like 74, 75, like any live Buster Brown, because I would love to hear something.
let me look it up. I'll
Yeah,
see if
yeah,
I can
yeah,
find
yeah,
one.
yeah. No problem. That's beautiful
And
stuff.
there's a recording of uh, um, after I left the band, but there's a French label that put out Buster Brown's CD,
Oh wow.
and
Okay.
David Ritz wrote the liner notes, and yeah, you have to check it. You know David Ritz.
That name doesn't ring a bell, but there's definitely material out there. That's good. I'm glad. You guys never made it into.
David Ritz. David Ritz. Well, yeah, no, he's a writer. He's a journalist,
Sure.
and he wrote. Um, he is the most famous biographer for blues and jazz and soul and all that. He's look him up on Amazon. He's a great writer. But he wrote Sexual Healing with Marvin Gaye,
Oh wow.
and I became friends with him before he moved to L.A. and he got the gig writing Ray Charles' biography. But we became friends, and he turned me on to all these cats like James Clay and David Fathead Newman and all that. And Fathead Newman with Ray Charles did all.
Absolutely. No, wait, I'm trying to be. How did this? How did you meet this author, Rich? That this just sort of happened? It was happenstance.
Well, he became a fan of my band or our band,
Buster
David Rick.
Brown.
Yeah, but yeah, Buster Brown.
Oh my
And,
God! Wait, this is unbelievable. He became, and he was already writing Ray Charles's, or he was about to write Ray Charles's
well,
autobiography.
he was writing for Texas Monthly and a lot of entertainment columns and all that. I mean,
Wow.
really amazing writer.
Wow.
And
Wow.
and he said, I don't know if it's a quote from him or whatever, but uh, he said, "Would you rather read a book about some egghead about uh, someone else's experience, or would you rather uh, read it in their own words?"
Right.
So uh,
Right.
uh, he got the Ray Charles gig writing the book, and it was Ray Charles and David Ritz, you know. So it was kind of the basis for the movie Brother Ray.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's where I know. And you're telling me that he wrote the liner notes for this CD that was released in France.
Yeah, he was a big
That
fan
is
of the band.
unreal.
Yeah. So yeah,
That
that
is so class.
and he took me down to South Dallas at a place called the Woodman's Hall, and where it was real bebop, and it was all black, and and David Fathead Newman, he was the lead tenor player for Ray Charles,
Sure.
and he had his own album, and there was another guy named James Clay.
James Clay. I'm not that name. I'm not. It's not red. I'm not tracking that name.
Okay.
I,
Okay.
who's that?
One second. Let me turn my heater down. Yeah, James Clay. I mean, I was blown away, and I bought a few albums of his. But
See, I mean, because Fathead Newman. I mean, his own solo records were on Atlantic because of Ray. But James
yeah,
Clay, did he come out of a R&B a rhythm and blues outfit, or was
he was more bebop. I'm sure he could play. I mean, those guys kind of crossed over the fine line between jazz and blues and all that.
absolutely.
Yeah, those guys were and a lot of the smooth jazz guys came up kind of listening to those people. Hank Crawford and all that.
Yeah, no,
I
it's
mean,
funny. It's funny you said that because I was like smooth jazz in the mid set, but it really did. Well, that's a whole other discussion. So, what
yeah.
would you try to sit in at the Woodman's Hall or any jam
The
sessions with
Woodman's,
Ray?
I think, no, I just sat there and listened. I mean, South Dallas, had a lot of great music too. I mean, Stevie Ray Vaughan came out of there, and Jimmy Vaughan. Um, Stevie Ray and Jimmy moved down to Austin because there was a much more blues scene than Dallas, you know. And but I met Stevie and Jimmy. My band's equipment truck broke down. We had a huge gig at a place called the Armadillo World Headquarters,
Yes.
and and that was the big club to play, and we were supposed to open up for a for Rod Argent, hold your head up,
Yeah, sure.
and and our equipment truck broke down, so we couldn't play the gig. We didn't have enough money for a hotel and all that, and so one of the guys of the band called up the Thunderbirds, and we got to crash on the couch. And Stevie and I stayed up till 5 in the morning listening to the Elvis Sun Sessions. Yeah. Anyway, but
Hold on, I want to read
yeah,
this. James Clay, oh my God, dude. Moved to California in 55, where he initially played in jam sessions. He appeared on recordings with Lawrence Marabelle. Clay then
yeah,
played with freer musicians, including Don Cherry, Billy Higgins, and Ornette Coleman,
wow.
before returning to Dallas in 1958. And then recorded 2 albums as a leader the following years in 1960. And so I need to scope this cat. This is unbelievable. He was living
Yeah,
there too. He was living in Dallas at that time, or he just would come through and play.
I think so. And Fathead Newman would come down. That was his hometown.
Wow.
I mean, but I think he was probably more in New York, but that was his hometown and everything. But and there was another gig um in that Buster Brown
Yeah.
era around 1975, 74, 75, 76, and uh there was another club called Faces, and which right around the same area, and we did a week with the Meters, and we became friends with those guys. They with Leo and
This is warming my heart, dude. I mean, because George Porter has been a
yeah.
really great mentor to me. I never interviewed, rest in peace, Arthur, and I haven't talked to Zig yet. But Leo also is an awesome dude. Done a couple interviews. Those guys were the truth, man. That is
Oh
some
man, I just it was so great. I just it blew me away. So we got to open up for him, and um,
wow.
I think it was four or five nights, and I brought there's a funny story.
Go ahead.
Um, I I went back home for Christmas and with my family back in Monroe, and my nephew Dean was there. He's the son from my brother Chip, my older brother Chip, who plays the piano, and he I gave him one of the Meters albums.
Right.
It was uh, it was a really funky cover, and
No, dude, I know it was right place, wrong time. Dr. John, because they
right,
played. Yeah. Anyway, they played on that record too. Go ahead. No, there's also
yeah,
rejuvenation. There's
uh,
rejuvenation with a woman.
rejuvenation.
Yeah, with a woman
Oh,
on
the
a
woman on
launch.
the cover, yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
She's in like a
Anyway,
laundromat. Yeah.
yeah, the
You gave it to him.
so I gave it to Dean. I think he was 12 years old, and he says, "You know what? I want this band to play at my wedding, when I grew up."
Holy.
And he couldn't get the Meters, but anyway, he got married in 2005, and he got the next best thing, and um, he had the wedding in Birmingham, but he hired my brother hired PBS, Porter, Batiste, and Stoltz. Yeah, Russell Batiste,
Dude, it's so.
George Porter, and yeah,
I
and
just want to stop you right there. John Lee, this was the intersection of the spirit merging with us in the real time, because I've been at this 12 years, and just like this, doing a lot of improvisational freeform work, written 5 books, and in the first week of October of this year, someone reached out to me on Facebook and said, I've been following you forever on Facebook, but it's an honor to read your stuff in the New York Times. And I said, what are you talking about?
yeah.
And the obit writer from the New York Times found my interview with the late, great Russell Batiste, who was the drummer on this
Oh
gig.
wow,
that Dean got married on.
Mhm.
Porter, Batiste, and
Oh
Stoltz.
wow.
Okay. Russell tragically
Yeah, yeah,
died.
yeah,
He
yeah.
died you know he passed. Did you know he passed?
Yeah, he died like maybe what?
Two
No.
months, but yeah, a few months
Yes, I
ago.
knew he died. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So,
yeah, yeah.
this obit writer finds my interview, like what we're doing, pulls quotes from it, and
Mhm.
uses it. And I mean, it was a major, I mean, it was a major deal for me. And here you are bringing
Wow.
up your nephew, who you give him a Meters album, and then he's like, I want them to play at my wedding, and you wind up with Porter, Batiste, and Stone. That's just so beautiful. And
Yeah.
that intersection of music and life. And um, man, those guys. Uh, so did you do what was? I guess here's the thing: we're gonna have to do set two. We've already been cooking for an hour, having a ball. We're just getting started. Um, I'm curious to wrap up this set. I'm curious because did you meet the cats from Uncle Rainbow in Dallas?
Yeah, yeah. I did. I think they were playing some of the same clubs that we were. We were playing a lot more black clubs in East Texas, like Longview and Tyler and all that.
Uh,
But we were starting to getting a following, and um, I they like long story. Um, I went back to school in Monroe and finished my degree in one semester. And make my parents happy and all that. But I
ah,
wanted to go back on the road. You
oh,
know,
so
and
you left North Texas before you graduated.
yeah,
Yeah.
I went back. I had enough credits, I think, to get my degree in one semester, and my I was ready to go back, to
Sure.
get my degree, and um so and then I finished. I was playing local gigs in Monroe and some other things, and a guy named Brent Bourgeois and Richard Oates called me up, and they had one of the hottest bands in Dallas. Great band. I mean, they played a lot of the same stuff. Play more original music, but they did Stevie and Herbie Hancock and all these great
What was the name of that
players.
band? That wasn't Buster Brown.
Well, yeah, Weather Report
Yeah.
and
Oh
and
my.
uh
They had the chops
and
to play that stuff. They were playing that stuff.
yeah, oh yeah, they did, yeah.
Oh my
And
God.
I don't know if it was exact, but it was
Yeah,
very close.
it was their own take on it. I get it.
Yeah, and the lead singer, he didn't play an instrument. He was tall, handsome, and everything. Guy named Richard Oates, one of the best voices in Texas. I mean, he could sing like Steve Perry from Journey, or who was the guy from Toto, and great killer vocalist. I mean, um, one of these kind of guys,
Sure.
and so he had the looks, and we had the sound and everything, and so I joined Uncle Rainbow. I moved back to Dallas, and we were playing 5, 6 nights a week, and the clubs were packed every night.
Was it like 77,
Great
78?
70, 77, yeah,
77.
70, 77.
I was born in 78.
Oh, okay, well,
Yeah.
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 Oh,
So you finished, you got a music theory degree, or what was the
well, I got a degree in a BA in general studies, and with a emphasis on music.
sure.
And I was, and
You're telling me that the first band that you went back into was playing like Black Market and like from Weather Report, or they were doing
uh,
like fusion tunes, like fusion
I,
music,
yeah. Well, I think we did Birdland and
right?
uh, Herbie Hancock and the instrumental stuff. But we never were doing vocals. We were doing a lot of Steely Dan
Oh my
with
God!
cover tunes.
Are Uncle Rainbow?
Yeah.
Are there any recordings of Rainbow?
There are. I'll send you some. I'll send you.
Yeah,
I
no,
think
so
some
this is magical. So
on
you were doing
SoundCloud.
some covers. Did you at that point? Did you introduce any original? When was the first time you were introduced an original tune to that band?
The original. Well, I was writing. I don't think I was a great writer, but I mean, I was trying to write. You know, um, I wanted to write. Great pop tunes. I mean, the first
Yeah.
uh, the first song that I really grabbed hold of was I think I was 15 or 16. I was studying classical piano and all that, but the the first song that I really got my fingers around and the chord change was MacArthur Park and some of the the Glen Wichita Lineman and all these
Sure,
things.
sure, sure.
Uh, um, Elton came much later, but yeah. Uh, trying to think,
No, so I mean,
but
when you knew those cats from North Texas, right?
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. I did. Yeah,
and so like what I'm saying, aside from the Steely covers and the Birdland and things like that, did you at that point, whether or not you think you were a good writer or not, were you putting original tunes into the mix at that point? 77.
I, yes, yeah. I was the main writer for the band,
Oh wow.
and
Wow.
and Brent Bourgeois was also too. But
Wow.
he kind of there were two keyboard players, and I could play sax too. So yeah, I mean
Oh
that
my
added
God, it must
a
have been
lot more.
absolutely burning. That band
Yeah,
must have been
great,
on fire.
great band. I got to play with Donald Fagen and I told him about that band. He was, he
Wait a
he was
minute.
all
Whoa,
ear.
whoa, whoa,
Yeah,
whoa, 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 whoa. Wait, you got years later, you got Fagan didn't sit in with you guys, did he? This is years later.
yeah. That was in around 2012, 2013. Uh,
And you were telling him about uh Uncle Rainbow.
this yeah this I told him about the band in the 70s, and we broke up in 1980 or 81, but it was more of an original band, and we could do 4-part harmony, and we could do side two of Abbey Road like flawlessly.
Yo,
Really,
man,
really nice.
please send me
Yeah.
some of this. This is making my day. This is a fierce. This is so you were not playing bass anymore. You were playing sax or keys.
Yeah, we were all over the place. I mean, we could do Earth, Wind, and Fire, and then we switch, to shift gears and play like a Beatle medley, and just
Right.
um, Sly and the Family Stone. But it was mostly original. It was about 60-70% original, and the rest covers. Because
Some of
we
would you
had
would you say that like some of the original tunes lent themselves to stretching out? You would play 10, 12 minute tunes.
oh yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I mean, before the internet, and I mean, the clubs were packed. I mean, there were no cell phones and all this stuff. People just, I mean, they were just their mouths would
Yeah,
drop. I
the
mean,
significance of music meant so
yeah,
much more in our culture. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I miss those times, but it's what it is.
No, I mean, John Lee, this has been completely revelatory for me, man. Like, I would love maybe Tuesday. You want to try to do something next week? You said too.
Yeah, yeah. We can do it. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I love talking to you, man. It's we're so much.
it's great
Um,
because so
we
much of my yeah.
we moved to we were playing a gig, a 2 week run in Colorado. It was in Vail, a week in Vail and a week in, I think, I can't remember what the town was. Beautiful, and it was in the summer of 1977, and um, my my lead singer's cousin was married to Michael Hossack of the Doobie Brothers, and 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 she heard us play, and she said, "Oh my God, you got to check this band out." I mean, uh, so maybe you can make him a deal or whatever. And so he drove up in his pink Ferrari all the way to Colorado to Vail, Colorado.
No way.
And yeah, I mean he was I guess he heard a tape of us. I don't know, can't remember. but it was in the summer or around, oh, it was either June or July. Yeah. And it was kind of a handshake deal. And he said, I want to move you guys to Northern California. Uh, I'll pay all your expenses. I'll give you a salary every month. I'll set you up places to live and everything. I mean, he had left the Doobies and he had a lot of money. And so, we said, yeah, come on, let's do it. So, and in a month, we packed up and we landed in Northern California. We landed in Los Gatos, California.
Los
Where
Gatos, the cats, the home of one of my inspirations on this journey, Neil Cassidy. I
oh, Neil,
cannot.
yeah,
Yeah,
Neil Cassidy. Okay, I think
yeah.
yeah, I think I dated his um well, I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, wait, either
Well, date.
Kathy or Jamie.
That was I think the son from I can't remember. It was Neil Cassidy. Uh, it was his son. I think it was his ex-wife. So I think I was dating her like for a couple of weeks
Oh
or
my,
whatever.
his
Yeah,
ex-wife?
yeah.
Holy cow, man. Yeah, no, holy shit. Luann or something?
I don't even remember.
Oh,
I mean,
I gotta do so, dude.
yeah.
John Lee, you have it, dude. Okay, so listen, let's put a button on this and we will pick it up in California, set two.
Okay, just one more thing
Hit
before I
me.
forget it.
Yeah.
Uh, we moved to I had this beautiful apartment in right down on downtown on Main Street, and in walking distance to all the clubs and everything. And we rehearsed maybe 3 months before we did a gig. And but anyway, my apartment manager was his name was Eric Nord, and I found out later, searching the internet, um, he was they called him the king of the beatniks, and he was a lot of the electric Kool-Aid acid tests, just some of the in the
I wrote
'60s.
a whole book on, dude. I cannot believe wait, what was his name?
His name was Eric Nord, Nord.
And he was
Yeah.
involved with Kesey and Cassidy and
Well,
those.
yeah, yeah. But I think he had kind of mellowed out, in the '70s. But
He had
eh,
mellowed up. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and he ran a nudist colony that I heard about, but
Yeah, up in the yeah, dude.
up in the mountain.
Yeah, no, dude, John Lee, you're blowing me away right now. Such an
Anyway,
honor
that's
to we'll do this again. We'll have it, we'll do set two next week. I'll reach out, we'll find a good time.
okay, Matt. Man, I want to hear more of your interviews and all that. And uh,
This was
wow,
looser than normal,
you're
but
great.
you really keep I mean, I'll send you some stuff with uh some of the New Orleans guys, especially like Ellis Marsalis. Do you know who Johnny Vidakovich is?
Johnny Badakotas. You know,
Johnny
I listened to
Vidakovich, maybe Vidakovich.
you know, but how you say it about
Yeah, not
Badakovic?
Vidakovich.
Yeah,
Johnny
you know
Vidakovich.
my drummer that I toured with in Europe for the last I don't know, since 1999. He studied from Johnny Badakovich.
No way.
He's in Paris now. His name is Jeff Boudreau, and
Wow.
and
Yo,
and he played
Johnny's
on
yeah, he's a
yeah
dear friend. I
yeah
mean, I got a lot more things to send you. You're gonna really dig it, man. And I'll send you my interview with Ron Tutt and a lot of those the other two cats I wanted you to ask you about was these were more Houston guys, Willie Ornelas and Tony Brownigal.
okay. I know Tony. He's I mean I don't know him personally, but I follow him. He's in the Phantom Blues band. Yeah,
That's exact Mike Finnegan, yeah, rest in peace.
yeah,
The
yeah.
Phantom with Taj and Larry Fulcher and those cats.
Oh man,
Yeah. They're all
those
my they've all been mentors to me.
oh that's man that's such an amazing band. I heard them with Bonnie when they opened up the Bonnie tour, and that's another story. I almost
Yeah,
got to
no,
gig with Bonnie.
let's save that. Let's save it
Okay,
for set two. All right.
okay, yeah, okay. We got a lot, to
A lot more to do,
chew.
John. Much love
All
to you,
right.
brother. We'll do it again, man. And send me some of the Uncle Rainbow, dude. I'd love to hear
Yeah,
some of that.
I will, and Buster Brown too. Yeah, yeah, I will.
Please,
Okay,
please. All
okay,
right.
okay, man.
Talk to you
Thank you,
soon,
Jake.
brother. All right,
All right,
man.
all right, bye.
Peace. Yeah.